Well, thank you everyone for joining today. We have Tal in-house with us for Syelo Tank. Tal will be presenting Jobz, which short pitch is Bumble for job seekers. So pretty excited to take a look at that. Tal and I met, I think, a couple weeks ago now. Very cool tool. It's a little bit of a different spin on what we have typically seen. It's kind of a dual-sided market from what I gather. So a little bit for recruiters and employers, a little bit for job seekers. So we're going to go ahead and kick off our Syelo Tank. Again, if you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat, or you can go off mute. Just for the agenda for today, Tal, so typically you can do a quick intro if you'd like, or if you have any kind of presentation, you can do that as well. We typically spend about 20 minutes on the actual demo and the pitch, and then from there, feel free to ask our group questions. We'll do the same. It'll kind of be open forum questions that way. And then at the end, we'll kind of leave some time for just seeing what our group thinks about if this is a product they would, buy for their employer or not. But again, everyone, this is interactive. Again, please feel free to come off mute if you have questions or put them in the chat. I will be reading them through the chat as well.
Awesome.
Thanks, Tal. You can go ahead and get started.
Awesome. So thank you for inviting me, Sabrina. Excited to be here. And I think I have equal number of questions to you guys. So let's keep it interactive and feel free to chime in. I threw in some questions throughout the deck, so I do hope to have a discussion here. Quick intro. I moved to the States 15 years ago. And over the years, both as a candidate and as a hiring manager, I felt like my story was not told correctly or lost in translation, really. But if I met all of you, let's say on a screening call, I would probably tell you three things. The first is, regardless of what you see on my resume, I've always worked in small teams. I'm a relationship guy. I love to work in small teams, typically on revenue generating teams. The second thing is that given my experience with partnerships, business development, sales, in my next role, I would want a GM / CRO type of role where I can really lead multiple teams and create synergies. And the last thing I'll say might be the most interesting one is I happen to be a winemaker. I made wines in California, in Australia. And if your company is ever looking to step up their culture with some blind wine tasting, I'm probably the guy to host this event. So we can talk about wine, we can talk about jobs. You guys can vote probably at the end. But all of this story is really lost in translation. And I want to kick it off here, which is, this is not a Tal problem. This is a problem that's common to all of us, whether we're candidates, hiring managers, or recruiters. And you heard my short pitch, and you would probably not get it from my resume. I know it's a bit small to read, but I'll walk you through some things in my background that might be red flags if you just had 10 seconds to look at my background. First of all, I'm not from here. I moved to the States 15 years ago, so without meeting with me, you wouldn't know what's my English proficiency as ESL, and can I be a good fit for your sales or growth teams? The second thing is there's some big corporations here, governments, huge corporations. It's unclear if I'm a good fit for a startup or a medium-sized company. Maybe it's a different culture. And lastly, you wouldn't know what my next role would be. I've actually played multiple roles, multiple hats, and it leaves you to guess or make assumptions. And at the end of the day, it's a bit of a lose-lose for both parties. I was unable to tell my story and you were unable to understand it the way it is, and we may lost an opportunity here. And the question I want you to have in mind is, what if we could have both? What if candidates could tell their story both in kind of the resume / LinkedIn format, objective, and then tell their story because they know it best? So let's quickly go through, and I know I'm preaching to the choir, but there are a few things really critical here. Resumes don't capture the full picture and both sides miss out. First of all, they're subjective and inconsistent. Different people read resumes differently based on their opinions, how they understand the text. The second thing is resumes miss soft skills and fit, things that are absolutely critical for customer-facing roles, which is what Jobz focuses on. You would know if I could speak English properly, if I'm a good fit for your team, and you would probably waste a lot of time. And the last element, it's backward looking only, meaning it's really hard to guess what the candidates want to do next. And when you think about mobility, whether it's internal mobility or someone's looking to do a different kind of job, they just don't have the means to do it. I might be able to pitch why my next role might be marketing, but you wouldn't find marketing on my resume. But hey, maybe I have a good case. So my favorite answer these days is, don't worry, AI is going to solve everything. And I'm sure you've heard and seen gazillion AI agents out there. But one thing to keep in mind is they are limited to the information they consume. Meaning, if you ran my resume the way it is right now, you wouldn't know the 3 things I just told you. There's no story, it's just keywords. But the flip side is true, and this is what we're missing out. Job postings, they don't capture the full picture. So candidates go on LinkedIn. I chose account executives in this tough market. There are 20,000 open positions. And guess what? They all look very similar. Arguably, they all went through ChatGPT. From a candidate point of view, it's really hard to know what they're about. There's no way for me to assess fit. I don't see the offices. I don't see my future manager. It's just text. And the medium is outdated. We're all consuming more video than ever before. So what candidates do these days, and it's going to grow over time, and I think this is the first topic we need to discuss, is what's biting you now and going to get worse and worse. Because candidates say, hey, if it's a numbers game, let's pray and pray. Let's use AI agents who can now apply on my behalf to hundreds of jobs without me ever knowing. And that's a lose-lose. And then you guys probably face massive inbound and too many resumes to screen through. When we're trying to boil down what is the problem we're looking to solve here, is this. We think that both parties lack critical information up front, and it creates noise. It's a suboptimal experience for candidates. In your case, you see thousands of resumes, and it's just creating a lot of noise in the system. We fundamentally believe that the future of recruiting is not resumes. It's intelligently matching people in seconds. It's almost, we forgot this is a people's business. So with that, let me introduce Jobz. Matching people, not resumes. We are part of NVIDIA's Inception program. So why should you listen to this presentation? How can we help you? Specifically, we want to help your top of funnel. We're not looking to take over your entire recruiting process. You do you. We can help you get double the number of passive candidates without changing your current process. We can have you have 5x fewer irrelevant screening calls without impacting the quality. And lastly, we can really speed up sourcing without you sending a single email. And I'll say that again because it's important. We are not an ATS. We're not a tool that you need to replace or in addition to that, but we power up everything you currently use. So let's talk about customer facing because that's really our area of focus. We're hearing crazy numbers these days, and these numbers are, from tech SMBs, and it's only going to get worse. But we're hearing over 800 resumes per company based on how big and famous they are. 60 to 80% of calls are wasted on irrelevant candidates, and the reason is you don't have critical signals like the one we talked about: charisma, communication style, ESL, didn't understand the resume properly. Net, it's a low signal, high noise kind of problem. And the question we ask, and this is really going to be my first question to you, is what would you do with thousands of perfect resumes submitted by text-based AI agents? And they're perfect because these agents are smart enough to go to your job description, pick up the keywords, modify my resume, submit. Go to the next job, read, modify, submit. So I'll pause here. Any questions before we dive further? Does it resonate? Okay, let's proceed. So look, we've built something different. I've seen the filters, I've seen the agents. We have 3 guiding principles that differentiate us compared to other solutions out there. The first one is human first. We believe in stories over bullet points, because instead of guessing what I've done in the past and what I want to do next, I can tell you in my own words. The second thing is a network effect, which means effectively you have a shared candidate pool. Candidates do not need to apply again and again using the same pitch, and you don't need to go to candidates one by one and do your own pitch. We can actually use a network effect that connects people automatically. And the last one, maybe the most important one, it's a double opt-in. It's a mutual platform where both candidates and employers opt in. What does it mean? It means that instead of the easy apply that candidates just click on these days and say, best of luck, you decide if we should meet. In this case, they first watch you, learn from you about the role, decide if now they're excited they want to apply, or maybe, hey, this is not a good fit. I don't want to make 200 calls a day, and they don't apply, which is a win too. So both parties get that information up front to decide if they should engage. So let's start with the first piece. I promised you to increase your outreach effectiveness, and we think that's really the way to get passive candidates. Why is it more important these days than ever before? The reason is, if inbound gets so noisy and so messy, what I hear, and again, I'd love to hear your perspective, is recruiters say either we go the referrals route or outbound. But outbound currently looks kind of like the example on the left. It's vague, it's unclear. The people you reach out to already have a job probably. They're not going to do research. And I want to offer you that instead of this, you switch to Jobz. And with a simple link that you just add to your existing outreach, again, through LinkedIn, through email, however you choose, it transforms your experience and gets you 65% engagement rate. And we've seen that for technical roles as well, not just for customer facing. Now, Google Meet has a bit of an issue with playing video, so I recorded this demo last night, uploaded to YouTube. It's about a minute long. Let me show you how it works.
When you reach out to passive candidates, your goal is to get them excited and apply for the role you're hiring for. You typically add a link to that email or LinkedIn message to the job description. The problem is, it all looks very generic, full of text, and not too engaging. But if you switch that link to the Jobz link, this is what these candidates will see. If they want to read the job description, all they got to do is click here and read about the role. If they want to know and learn more about the hiring manager's background, they click here and they see their LinkedIn background and education. They see what the company name is, the pay range, the role, but most importantly, they hear about the role from you or from the hiring manager, whoever can sell it best. Let's give it a try.
My name is Hannah, and I am the sales manager for the lot acquisitions team here at Homebound. A bit about me, I've spent the last 13 years in tech sales, with half that time leading teams at tech-enabled company.
It's personal, it's scalable, and it achieves 65% engagement rate. And it only takes 10 minutes to set up one of those.
Cool. So this was the first value prop we said. We can really help you step up your outreach, whether it's for technical roles or for go-to-market roles. The question is it effective? Well, we found that when we post one of these jobs, people engage with it so much that we get over 1,000 viewers per job, because you're going to use it for your outreach. We're going to promote it on our socials. Our incentives are very much aligned with you. Another reason we do that, it allows us to do customer acquisition of candidates for free, because based on data we collected in Q4, 21% of those who watched the video wanted to engage one way or another, so they download our app. What is the app? Let's dive into it. So Jobz is where candidates and employers meet before they meet, or as we call it, watch, swipe, and match. And in a minute, I'm going to show you a demo of how it actually looks like. Again, recorded last night. But this is a high signal, low noise kind of solution, in a sense that, sure, we are capturing the hard skills you know, such as LinkedIn. We also add an AI analysis to give you what you're used to. But we're adding a net new information of soft skills because now people can tell their story, which is not always trivial. And you can capture soft signals such as ESL and so forth. On the flip side, we have efficient cues. One of the first things we hear when we say we're pro video, people say, look, I barely have time to go through resumes. I definitely don't have time to go through so many videos. And that's exactly why we've built an AI engine that analyzes every single profile, score them, and sort your queue in real time. Every time you decide yay or nay, we learn more about your preferences and we sort the queue. And that means you don't need to watch everybody who applied to your role, just the top ones. And again, this is specifically built for customer-facing role where these signals are so critical for you to decide if you should even jump on the call with these folks. One more thing, effortless sourcing. You remember I talked about network effect? This is where it comes in play. What it effectively means is anyone who joins our network and downloads the app immediately see all the relevant jobs based on their background. And that means you. That means if they even if they never heard about you, but they saw you pitch a role that's relevant and interesting, you're automatically introduced and they get into your queue. Where in your queue? Depends on how relevant they are. Now, two things before I show you the demo. The first is we're not looking to revamp your entire recruiting process. We just want to get you a great first interview and reduce all that noise with screening irrelevant candidates. The second thing is we're not looking to change any of your system. We're just looking to build on top with no technical integration. You saw the link that gave you that outreach effectiveness. So don't view us as competitors to what you currently have. We can absolutely work with the tech stack you currently have. Let me show you a quick demo. Again, recorded last night, so apologies for the deep voice.
I want to show you how easy it is to find your next BDR with Jobz. Let's open the app. The person you see here is not accidentally at the top of the queue. Our algorithm actually analyzed anyone who applied for this position, scored them, and sorted the queue so the best person is at the top. You can see their video, you can see their background, and you can see their score. Let's go one by one. We'll get to the video in a second. First of all, if you click on this button, you can see their background as if you open their LinkedIn, both education and experience. If you want to see why we gave them 82 and score them that high, we basically compare their background, resume, and video to your video and your job description, and then score them for each single element. And lastly, video. We allow Deepo to tell his story and for you to decide if it's a good fit.
My name is Deepo Phillips, and I'm located in Denver, Colorado. I have been doing sales for about 15 years, and I've done lots of sales like customer service.
If you like Deepo and you'd like to proceed, swipe right. If you don't, you can swipe left and see the next candidate. If you want to see the folks you matched with, meaning both of you swiped right and expressed interest, they're all organized for you, and clicking on one of those images will show that candidate video so you can review their background and video before your next interview.
Cool. So let's talk about effectiveness. We're doing this to really make your lives easier. We built over the past year, we built this proprietary AI engine. And we found that 63% of matches ended up in final rounds of interviews. What that means is people don't just swipe, but these are high intent, where again, both parties opt in and said, yes, I've watched your video, I'm interested. I know what I'm getting myself into. And a quick example, there's a company, prop tech company, a real estate tech company called Volts. We launched them as a private beta in Q4, and in 10 minutes of swiping, they matched with 5 candidates, 3 of which are finalists in final round of interviews. Super fast. I see a question from Tony. Can you view videos? Oh. Great. Can you view videos and reach out to candidates who have not matched with you? You can reach out separately using our outreach tool. And and you can basically take the first step, if that's the question, Tony, if I understand correctly, because anyone who joins the network, even if they haven't seen your video, but you've seen theirs and you're interested, the moment you swipe right and express interest, they will be notified. And it's going to say, Company X is interested in you. Click here to watch their video. That's part of the reason why we built it, that both parties can show interest.
So you can view their video before they've actually expressed interest in you?
Correct.
Okay.
One thing to note, which is important, people care about privacy and especially passive candidates. So we do allow candidates the option to be in stealth mode. And that means no one can watch them unless they expressed interest in you first. The reason we do that, we interviewed quite a few candidates over the past year and a half. 80% or so said they are passively looking. And I think, it might indicate the market, might indicate mindset, but we really believe in a world where we reduce the barrier to find your next opportunity or your next candidate.
Looks like there's a question by Flo. Is there a way to review candidates the AI did not choose for you?
Yes, absolutely. So everybody's analyzed, scored, and ranked. You don't have to agree with our ranking and choose the first at the top. You can continue to scroll down. In fact, my best performer on the previous company, I ran a large sales team. Best performer, she was a flight attendant before she joined the team. She never worked in tech. She never done sales per se. But so she didn't have the classic background. But in that case, I would go through the queue until I found someone, watch her tell her story, and she had a really impressive story, and say, you know what? Maybe the algorithm gave you 50, but I think you're amazing, and I want you on my team. But we take it one step further. And that means that the moment you express interest in that candidate, we say, hey, now we can personalize your queue and float more folks who are similar to the profile you liked. And that's why when we think about the future, we don't want filters. We don't want to answer gazillion questions. We can have the engine to personalize the queue for you based on your preferences and who you swipe left and right on. Cool. So this is really important. So we promised you better way to attract passive candidates. That's our outreach link. No need for technical integration. Promised you a better way to screen your candidates, especially for customer facing. You can see their video with all the information in one place, quickly decide yay or nay. But the third is really, how do we do sourcing and how do we envision sourcing? And it all starts with the network effect, because our AI engine instantly connects candidates and employers. And the example we give is a candidate came for a Zillow position. Household brand, everybody knows it, interesting. The moment they joined our platform, they have one profile. They don't create videos per job. It's one profile, one video, similar to LinkedIn. But the moment they joined, we analyze them and say, hey, actually, they have great background in real estate, in tech, in sales, SMBs, and so forth. The moment that happens, we're automatically going to take this person's profile and put them in the queue of the other companies we have in the network, such as Homebound, Redfin, and Homelight. This is a double win. First of all, from the candidate's point of view, they don't need to search one by one, because then they came for Zillow, but now they have 3 opportunities lined up for them immediately. It's pushed to their phone. They don't need to search for it. On the flip side, companies less known, like Homebound and Homelight, get access to talent that would otherwise apply just to Zillow. But now they get to pitch those high quality candidates and try to convert those. Net, it means that you can tap into talent that previously did not reach out or did not apply for your specific roles. Okay, the Syelo slide, Sabrina, promised you one. So look, we launched the private beta in Q4. We're doing some experiments in this quarter, but we're live. The app is live right now on Google Play and the App Store. We'd love your feedback, and that's the reason why I'm very excited to be working with you all and this community. We need your feedback, and we need to learn what we need to build next. We're building this platform for you. So we're offering free posting jobs on the platform. Again, it takes only 10 minutes, no tech integration needed. You can either meet with our team or do it through an interactive journey we have. Reaching out with our engagement tools completely free. Screening your candidates, as I showed you in the demo, completely free. And typically, we only charge a success fee for our sourcing if you source someone from our candidates pool, not someone that you brought. Two things to note. First one, kind of the benefit to the community is first hire on us. And that means everything that you've seen is completely free. The second thing is, if you'd like to get started or learn more and have a more customized demo, happy to do that with my team. Just email us at syelo@jobshr.com. This is it from my end. We're Jobs, matching people, not resumes. This is my email if you have any questions or feedback. But other than that, I'm happy to open it for a discussion.
Yeah, I have a quick question, if I could raise my hand real quick. Who does the platform support the creation of the hiring manager job post video, or does that fall entirely on the company? And by support, I mean, does it have editing, or, because I could see where, a good video could attract people, and a video that looks like it was, filmed in the bathroom with someone's iPhone could sort of be a detractor. Right? So, is that fall on the company, or is that something that's supported within the Jobs platform itself?
Great question, and I'll take it one step further. Then you'll say, cool, video works. How about I use Loom or YouTube in my current process? And that's one of our differentiators. You can either create the video through our interactive experience, and you can record as many times as you want, but very straightforward questions that we got to the science of it by now. Mm-hmm. Or meet with our team. We'll have a conversation just like the one you and I are having now, and we do all the editing for you because our incentive is absolutely aligned with yours. So we do the editing for you and take care of it. So it can be a Zoom call, and it can be on your free time with this interactive experience. It takes 10 minutes.
Okay, and then on the candidate piece, the Tinder swipe left, right thing, is the recruiter, hiring manager, whoever is reviewing applicants, are they seeing just that video response, or are they seeing the person's resume, LinkedIn profile, or some sort of permutation of both those? Meaning, is there a part that lists the skills? Or are we trying to eliminate the resume, whatever form or profile you're talking about, and just rely on key questions this person is answering visually?
Great question. So both the recruiter and the hiring manager can swipe on the same cue. And it's mostly about availability and people's preference of who does the swiping on behalf of the employer.
Right. It wasn't about who's swiping. I'm saying in your decision to swipe, is the only information that you're provided the video of the person answering the prompts? Or can you say, okay, here's the guy's open, let me look at his profile. Is there any remnants of a resume or data or anything that talks about the person's experience outside the video they've recorded that you could look at, whoever's looking at it, in making a decision to swipe left or right?
Absolutely. You see three inputs. You see the candidate's LinkedIn or resume, you see their video, and you see our AI analysis that compares their background, everything we know about them, with the job description and the video, or as I call it, the gist. Quickly, why do you think this is a good candidate for me?
And how, so does the AI talk about it? I'm assuming it gives sort of the analysis, but does it go into this sort of why? Does it kind of articulate to the person, well, you're looking for X, Y, and Z, and we saw this person mention these 4 things, which might be indicative of them having those skills? Like, how deep? Because I've seen this, and I've advised and counseled on several different AI products in the past, and it always comes down to transparency, right? No one's going to trust the AI unless they understand, unless the AI explains how it's getting there, and then takes feedback to correct right or wrong. And sometimes the genius in AI is that it can infer. It can say, hey, you want someone that has experience in this platform. Well, they worked at 3 companies, and we know that those 3 companies also use that platform. So even though they didn't mention that platform, right, or can sort of infer by having access or knowing things about the companies or things about the roles that may not be explicitly stated within the JD. So is it, how level of transparency does it offer in earning that trust from who's ever using it?
So 3 pieces to it. The first is the only input the AI gets is words or text from the job description and the video compared to the LinkedIn and the video. And that means from DEI point of view, this is solely on people's, picture content, nothing else. The second thing is we do infer, because we run LLM at the basis of our model, to learn that, hey, this company actually does what you, hiring manager, are looking for. And the third piece is there is a constant learning, meaning I'm going to suggest candidates for you, but the more you use it, the more I'm going to understand what you're really looking for without asking you the questions, flow these candidates to the top and save you even more time. I do not want you to watch 100 videos. I want you to watch 10, and they should be great.
Okay, so when you swipe, I forget which one's no. Is it left no or right no? Sorry, I'm sort of removed from the
left is no.
Left is no. Okay. So is the assumption correct that if you swipe left, then the app is sort of prompting you for, okay, tell us why not, or what were they missing, or something that it uses in the learning process, right? Because LLMs generally are static, but if you're running machine learning on top of it, then it would need some sort of input to understand, you said no to this person. What was it? What could we attribute that no to? And then deprioritize candidates who might have that attribute similarly, and maybe prioritize ones that show the opposite.
It's a great question, and we wanted to do it, but when we spoke with recruiters, the goal was like, how do I make your lives easier and faster? And I think if you need to add more input to us, it might be too time consuming. At the end of the day, I want a yay or nay, and that allows me to build my propensity to swipe model and say later we might do feedback and we might ask for specific reasons or buttons. But for now, I'm giving you more information than you currently have. I sort all the candidates for you. I source candidates that never even heard about you, but we think they're good, and I bring them to your queue. And then when you open, it's only, now with all this information, I'm interested, not interested. Let's see if the other party is. And again, they're going to watch your video and be more informed about the role of the hiring manager.
One last question, and thank you everyone for letting me monopolize this conversation. Hope I haven't done it too much. You lost me a bit in your pitch when you were talking about surfacing candidates who didn't apply, that referral network piece of it. I was hoping you might be able to add a little bit more context. And how does that happen? Have they applied to another role? Have they opted into, being exposed to other similar companies? And as a potential client, what is my assurance that the work that I'm putting in my ads aren't feeding the competitors, right? And all of a sudden, hey, this person saw our ad because something we did. Now, all of a sudden, all of our competitors are on top of them, and we're, it might be a fallacy, it might be true, but the feeling you're creating your own competition. And thank you, everyone.
So from the employer point of view, you have a first take on candidates, and they're not exposed to the rest of the network until you decide how you act on them, specifically saying, I'm not interested. On the candidate side, they decide if they're in stealth mode and no one can see them for privacy reasons, or they're public. If they're public, think about it, Brett, we're completely changing their search from pull to push. Candidates do not need to look for jobs. Relevant jobs are lined up for them. And they may never heard about your company before, but they say, oh, this guy's talking about, it's really interesting, good background. I never thought I'm going to go to climate tech, but this is great. I'm interested, swipe right. And it benefits both parties.
I just want to follow up on something that Brett had said, especially when it comes to, disliking candidates, because I might love their background, I might look at their video, and maybe they're saying like and way too much, and they're just not able to communicate at the level that I want someone to communicate with, say for an enterprise account executive. So maybe I dislike that candidate for that reason, but the AI reads that I dislike the candidate with X, Y, and Z in their background, and now maybe it's skewing what I'm getting shown. Can you talk more towards, like, again, how can we say I don't like this candidate for this reason?
I actually think it's a great feedback, and I'm super happy both of you brought it, because I think it's great product feeder for us to develop. Having said that, if the candidates start talking and after a minute, and other filler words, and it's not a fit for you, the 30 seconds you spent to figure it out and say no saved you 30 to 40 minutes of a screening call with that candidate who has a perfect background And during the call, you're like, they're great, but they can't serve my enterprise clients because of the way they speak. So that insight, that info upfront save you a lot of time. I'm absolutely going to take a note about product development for you to provide feedback. I think it's really interesting. The way we optimize is how do we make your lives easier, not asking you to input more data. But if you guys say, hey, it's worth it for us because it's going to optimize our queue better, we're all for it.
Yeah, I've actually used similar, I don't want to say tool because AI was not involved, but it was a company that had reached out to me and said, hey, we specialize in GTM. We have candidates. We ask them to create a video. We ask these specific questions. You can go in and watch their videos. You can sort candidates by their years of experience. And then you're able to say, okay, I want to interview this candidate, this candidate, this candidate, and then they match you together, it was great. We actually hired from it. And I know they're still developing their product because they're very, very early stage, but they also are coming up with a video for the hiring managers to be able to present an actual role and talk about the company and talk about the role too. And I love that you get to see those things because on the candidate side, they're interviewing us just as much as we're interviewing them. And the hiring manager needs to be able to present just as well as the candidate does. So I love the video aspect of it. I'm just quite not sure on the AI side because there's the AI in almost all the tools that we've seen, the AI is just not quite there to be able to match. So yes, something that's a little more manual in the beginning, probably going to be helpful.
That's a really good feedback and worth double clicking on. AI does not make any decisions for you, but sorting the queue. So even if you say, I don't trust the AI, then the candidate you're really looking for is maybe not the first candidate, they're candidate number 10, and it's up to you to decide. Our take on AI is not here to replace us. AI is here to assist us. And instead of us going through 800 applicants, show me the shortlist. Show me the folks I should learn from.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
We have a question in the chat as well, Tal.
Sorry.
How do you plan to keep employers engaged long term?
If I make you guys happy and get the experience to be efficient as we just described, this is how every journey for you is going to start, which is in 10 minutes, we're creating the job postings. In seconds, candidates are lined up, meaning because we do this auto sourcing, anyone in the network that might be relevant is lined up for you. You don't need to post on LinkedIn and wait for days or weeks. It's a much better alternative compared to the current process. And again, the more you use it, the more it learns your preferences, the better the queue is. So it's going to be from, hey, it takes me X amount of time to find candidates to this is super personalized to me, very easy. Me as a recruiter, I'm aligned with the hiring manager because both of us watched videos and swiped on it. It's a triple win. And candidates show up to these screening calls super high intent. So let me double down on that for a second. When I speak with recruiters who tell me 60 to 80% of their calls with customer-facing talent is with irrelevant candidates, I think it's madness. We want to take you to 0 irrelevant calls. And the reason it's going to get to 0 is the candidate watch you pitch the role, selling it, but also saying what's the duties they have to do. Like, hey, you need to make 200 calls and sit on next to this desk. But they still said yes. And you had a glimpse with more information than what you have right now into the candidate and say, you know what? They're worth my time. Swipe, swipe. You can schedule the first interview through the app in 3 clicks. No more back and forth email, no more sequences, and meet tomorrow. If we deliver that promise, I think, again, it's a matter of scale. And at some point you'd be like, I can either do what I do today, which is very messy top of funnel, or just open jobs and in minutes watch great candidates line up for me, tell me their story, giving me the insight that I currently don't have.
We have one more question.
Sorry. I'm gonna open this. Scott, how do you plan to capture market share against folks using both platform and LinkedIn in parallel when using job charges of placement success similar to an agency? So we're not competing with LinkedIn at this point. In fact, we're even pulling some of their data so you have all the information in one place. The way we're going to charge is we're providing you 90% of the platform. If you remember the list, I can present it again for free. And that means I'm providing you value for your outreach for free and for your screening for free. But if your current process with candidates that you source from LinkedIn, it doesn't work, and everybody get to a kind of the panic mode of hiring manager said, where are the good candidates? You can just turn on sourcing and immediately see a queue of candidates lined up for you. So in that regards, we are providing the same similar process or similar value of an agency, but at a fraction of the time. Because instead of asking an external agency to source and to screen and then to send over, you have all the candidates lined up and you have full control over who you think is a good fit or not. So I think both can work in parallel. Marina, we've made so much progress in eliminating bias in the early stage of the candidate review to provide folks all the background of equal opportunity. How does your product support inclusive accessibility? Perfect question. Two answers to that. The first is we source, analyze, score, and rank all the candidates solely based on their background and their story. Nothing else related to irrelevant demographic stats. The second piece is we do not take into account how well you're connected on LinkedIn, on who you know. And that means that if an unknown candidate that you and I never met before joined, but their background is relevant to your job, they get into your queue. And if they're the most relevant ones, they'll be first at the queue. It actually allows more people to get access to jobs they didn't have in the past. And the last piece I'll add is mobility. How are we supposed to do internal mobility or even mobility from people who were at McDonald's today and want to be SDRs at tech tomorrow if their resume, by definition, doesn't capture what you need, doesn't capture aspiration, skills, motivation? A video does. So not only I think we're preserving DEI, our goal is to increase it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I know we have a little over 10 minutes left. Tal, any questions for our group as well? We'd like to kind of keep this in open forum. Any questions for us? Anything we can answer for you on our end?
Yes, please. First question, which I think is the hot topic that either affected folks or will be affecting folks very soon. And that is the AI war between bots writing resumes on behalf of candidates and blindly applying to bots reading resumes on your end that you might be using who are looking for the same keywords to eventually get to a stuck position of these bots wrote the perfect resume based on your job description. Now these guys need to read the resume and they say, you know what, they're all great and they're all perfect. What would you do then? How do you think about solving it?
This is where I think LinkedIn comes in really handy because they can get AI to write a resume and change their titles, change their responsibilities. But when you go into LinkedIn, a lot of times they're not syncing up their LinkedIn to what that custom resume is just for you. So their LinkedIn tells the real story. So, maybe they were customer success, but then they put client success, or maybe they were customer support and they put customer success manager on their resume, two different roles. And so I'm going to see customer support on their LinkedIn because that was the actual job title versus the title that they put on that resume, which is customer support. So seeing that sync up, that's a huge red flag for me when I see a beautiful resume and then I go to LinkedIn and it doesn't match up on that experience.
Yeah, and it's a really important topic. It's the credibility of information. That's why when we ask people to sign in with their LinkedIn. That's the one source of truth we think is credible. But that's why we also have one video, not video per position, but one video profile of like, what is your story? What have you done and what you want to do next? We'll do the matchmaking for you. And I think the using resumes, in my opinion, is gonna decline over time, and probably LinkedIn profile is gonna get more popularity with objective source that people will trust to some degree.
For specific roles, are there specific prompt questions? Like one of the things that we look for that's rarely on resumes, especially on the GTM side, is who are the stakeholders that they sold to? What was the average deal size? What was their sales cycle length? If there was a video of them explaining their numbers and what their experience was with those numbers, that'd be a heck of a lot easier for me to yes, no on a sales side, and other roles are going to be quite similar. Is there any thought of that when it comes to prompts?
That's our next in development. We're starting with the intro video of tell us her story. What we envision is if Tony and the candidate match, then they are prompt to like question company X wants you to answer these 5 prompts. And then you would save time to both sides. They can record themselves and explain to the best of their ability. You're getting full information before you even met with them. So this is definitely on the roadmap to be built.
Cool, thanks.
Thank you.
I have a question. Hi, Tal. Thanks for the awesome demo. I really love the idea of this product. My current company is a matchmaking / double-sided marketplace, similar to what you're building, at least as far as architecture goes. And one of our major challenges is network effects and getting the platform to grow by getting both demand and supply side filled. How do you envision that going forward? You know, you want to make sure you have enough candidates in the marketplace, but you also want to make sure you have enough employers who are using it to post every single position they have. How do you keep, especially on the employer side, how do you keep people tacky? How do you keep them engaged?
Yeah, great question. So we provide the outreach tool for free to employers, so you guys can use it independently of the marketplace. It's just a way to make outreach better. And realistically, if we do just that, we make outreach way more engaging for all parties involved, right? You can see a real person pitching you the role versus random text that you don't know who wrote it. That allows us to acquire jobs. And what we learned is jobs, based on the stats I showed, when we post them and the employer posts them, 1,000 people plus watch those. And then candidates, especially those in the market, say, oh, I see a job, I can either submit my resume and be resume number 801, or create my video and I might get a shot directly with the hiring manager or the recruiter. So our equation is find the jobs, candidates will follow. We focus on one side of the marketplace, and I'm absolutely in favor of other companies doing something similar. I think it's pretty horrific how we got to a situation where all parties involved in the process are suffering. And as I describe, it's gonna get way worse. If folks here on this call don't tackle the AI issue of the AI war between the bots writing resumes and the bots reading resumes or LinkedIn, it's going to be very unpleasant with 4,000 perfect candidates in your inbox, and then go figure. And it's a lose-lose, because the one thing we didn't mention on this call, and it's important for me, is when we talk to go-to-market talent, they apply to 200 to 300 positions these days without getting a single interview. Just imagine how much more we can do for candidates. And the way we start is, hey, employer, present yourself. You're a person too. You have specific things, you have specific preferences. So always welcoming more folks jumping into the space, and again, making recruiting more humane, which I think is needed. Thank you. Let's move to another one, and that's actually a technical question for us. So we've mentioned the word success-based pricing. We want to have skin in the game. We want our incentives to be aligned and say, look, if you didn't hire someone that we brought to you, you don't need to pay anything. Having said that, we heard some feedback, mostly from investors, to switch to a SaaS model. What is your appetite, especially these days in your budgets, And I'd appreciate some transparency to pay a fixed amount of money every month to use the platform versus success fee. Do you have a strong preference, or are you agnostic?
This is actually typically a question that we ask at the end, a little bit different. But obviously the group that we have here primarily working on smaller teams, sometimes like teams of one. And we usually ask at the end of all Syelo Tanks, like, is this something that you would go to leadership with, or to your decision maker with, and pitch this as a product to use at your company? And we can kind of dig into that a little bit more granularly, but since we only have about 5 minutes left, let's go with that route first, because this is what we do on Syelo Tank.
Sure.
Can y'all all let me know in the chat, is this something that you would invest in your company, or just something you would want to use personally? Yes or no?
Yeah, put a Y or an N inside the chat, please, folks.
So we've got kind of about half people saying yes, half people saying no. I'm curious for the no's. I'm curious to know kind of why. And Tal, I'm sure would be curious as well.
100%.
Sabrina, just for the sake of time, can we do the investment question, and then we can sync up with venture partners on feedback, and then we can provide it to Tal directly. I don't think 4 minutes is enough to properly put together a feedback loop and present it and kind of discuss it, if that's okay.
Sure.
So the last question then for the voting committee is, should Syelo make an investment in the product as it currently stands, yes or no? Can we get a couple? Yep, awesome, thank you. And then per Sabrina's question, since we have 3 minutes left, if you're leaning no, can you please input just one reason as to the feedback as to why? And then we'll wrap it up.
Awesome, y'all. I know we have a couple minutes left. Tal, thank you so much for pitching to us. We are going to kind of go back, discuss as a group. We obviously recorded this. We can share that recording with you as well. But if you have anything that you want to share with the group, feel free to send it my way, and I'm happy to do the same. But thank you so much. This has been wonderful. And yeah, we really appreciate you joining today.
Thank you for having me. This was great. Would really appreciate feedback in any form, even if we do it synchronously. This would be awesome. And again, thank you for a good discussion and good questions. I think it really helps us to build a better product.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Tal. Have a good one. Thanks,
Thank you.
everyone.